The sky above the small town of Eldridge had turned an eerie shade of violet, a phenomenon no one could explain. The townsfolk whispered about strange lights in the sky and unexplained tremors in the ground. But no one could have predicted what was about to happen. Elena Martinez, a young botanist, was hiking through the dense forest on the outskirts of town, collecting samples of rare plants. She had always been fascinated by the natural world, and the forest was her sanctuary. But today, the air felt different, charged with an energy she couldn't quite place. As she bent down to examine a peculiar flower, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble. The trees around her swayed violently, and a deafening roar filled the air. Elena looked up just in time to see a massive spacecraft descending through the canopy. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, sleek, silver, and radiating an otherworldly glow. Before she could react, a beam of light shot down from the craft, enveloping her. She felt herself being lifted off the ground, her screams swallowed by the cacophony around her. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the face of a giant figure looming over her. When Elena awoke, she found herself in a vast, dimly lit chamber. The walls were made of a smooth, metallic material that seemed to pulse with a faint light. She tried to move but realized she was restrained by some kind of energy field. Panic set in as she struggled against her invisible bonds. "Do not be afraid," a voice echoed through the chamber. It was deep and resonant, yet strangely soothing. Elena turned her head to see a figure approaching her. Her breath caught in her throat. The being was a giantess, at least 20 feet tall, with flawless, luminous skin that shimmered like starlight. Her features were strikingly human-like, with high cheekbones, full lips, and almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an inner light. She was dressed in a flowing, iridescent gown that seemed to shift colors as she moved. What are you?" Elena stammered, her voice trembling. "I am Lyra," the giantess replied, her voice calm and melodic. "I am from a world far beyond your own. You have been brought here because you possess something unique, a connection to the natural world that is rare among your kind." Elena's mind raced. "What do you want from me?" Lyra's expression softened. "Your planet is dying, Elena. The destruction wrought by your species has reached a critical point. But there is still hope. Your knowledge of Earth's flora could help us restore balance." Elena's fear began to ebb, replaced by curiosity. "You want my help?" Lyra nodded. "Yes. But first, you must understand the gravity of the situation. Come, let me show you." With a wave of her hand, Lyra released Elena from the energy field. The giantess led her through a series of corridors, each more breathtaking than the last. They passed through gardens filled with exotic plants, their colors and shapes unlike anything Elena had ever seen. Finally, they arrived at a massive observation deck. Lyra gestured toward a large screen that displayed images of Earth, forests burning, oceans polluted, cities crumbling. Elena's heart sank as she realized the extent of the damage. "This is what awaits your world if nothing is done," Lyra said. "But together, we can change its fate." Elena felt a surge of determination. "What do you need me to do?" Lyra smiled. "Your journey begins now." Elena spent the next few days aboard Lyra's spacecraft, learning about the advanced technology and the alien flora that Lyra's people had collected from countless worlds. The giantess was a patient teacher, and Elena found herself growing more comfortable in her presence. One evening, as they were examining a particularly fascinating plant, Elena asked, "Lyra, why did you choose me? There are so many scientists on Earth who are more qualified than I am." Lyra's eyes sparkled with amusement. "Qualifications are not what matter most. It is your passion, your connection to the natural world, that sets you apart. I sensed it the moment I saw you in the forest." Elena blushed, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. "I just want to help. But I'm not sure how much I can do." "You underestimate yourself," Lyra said gently. Together, we can achieve great things. As the days passed, Elena began to notice subtle changes in herself. Her senses seemed heightened, and she felt a deeper connection to the plants around her. She mentioned this to Lyra, who explained that the environment of the spacecraft was enhancing her natural abilities. "You are adapting," Lyra said. "It is a sign that you are ready for the next phase of our mission." "What's the next phase?" Elena asked. "We must return to Earth," Lyra replied. "But not as we are. I will take on a human form to blend in with your kind. Together, we will work to heal the planet." Elena was intrigued. "You can change your form?" Lyra nodded. "It is a skill my people have mastered. But it requires great concentration and energy. I will need your assistance to maintain it." Elena agreed without hesitation. She was eager to see Lyra in a human form and to begin their mission. The transformation was breathtaking. Lyra's towering figure shrank until she stood at a human height, her features softening but still retaining an otherworldly beauty. Her hair, once a cascade of silver, now fell in waves of deep chestnut. Her eyes, though no longer glowing, still held a mesmerizing depth. "How do I look?" Lyra asked, her voice now more human-like but still carrying a hint of her former resonance. "You look amazing," Elena said, unable to tear her gaze away. Lyra smiled. "Thank you. Now, let us begin." They returned to Earth, landing in a remote area far from prying eyes. Lyra's human form allowed them to move freely, and they began their work in earnest. They traveled to areas devastated by deforestation and pollution, using Lyra's technology and Elena's knowledge to restore the land. But their mission was not without challenges. They encountered resistance from those who feared change and those who sought to exploit the planet's resources for their own gain. Elena and Lyra had to rely on their wits and each other to overcome these obstacles. As they worked side by side, Elena found herself growing closer to Lyra. The Giantess, now in human form, was still a source of strength and wisdom, but she also revealed a playful, compassionate side that Elena had not seen before. One night, as they sat by a campfire under a starry sky, Elena asked, "Lyra, do you ever miss your home?" Lyra gazed at the stars, her expression thoughtful. "I do. But I have found a new purpose here, with you. Earth is a beautiful world, full of potential. I believe we can save it." Elena smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I'm glad you chose me." Lyra reached out and took Elena's hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "As am I." Their efforts to heal the planet were making progress, but not everyone was pleased. A powerful corporation, Novagen, had been monitoring their activities. Novagen's CEO, Victor Kane, saw Lyra's technology as a threat to his company's profits. He was determined to capture the alien and harness her power for his own gain. Victor dispatched a team of mercenaries to track down Elena and Lyra. The team was led by Marcus Drake, a ruthless operative with a reputation for getting the job done at any cost. Elena and Lyra were unaware of the danger until it was too late. They were working in a remote forest, planting seeds infused with Lyra's technology, when they were ambushed. The mercenaries surrounded them, their weapons trained on the pair. "Don't move," Marcus ordered, his voice cold and commanding. "Hand over the alien, and we'll let you live." Elena stepped in front of Lyra, her heart pounding. "You don't understand what you're doing. She's here to help us." Marcus smirked. "I don't care about your little eco-friendly mission. My orders are to bring her in." Lyra placed a hand on Elena's shoulder, her expression calm. "It's all right, Elena. I will go with them." "No." Elena protested. "You can't." Lyra's eyes met hers, filled with determination. "Trust me." Reluctantly, Elena stepped aside. The mercenaries moved in, binding Lyra's hands with a strange, glowing material that seemed to suppress her powers. They led her away, leaving Elena alone in the forest. Elena felt a surge of anger and helplessness. She couldn't let them take Lyra. She had to do something. She quickly gathered her supplies and set off to find help. She knew of a group of environmental activists who might be willing to aid her. It was a long shot, but it was the only plan she had. Meanwhile, Lyra was taken to a secret facility owned by Novagen. Victor Kane was waiting for her, a smug smile on his face. "Welcome, Lyra," he said. "I've been looking forward to meeting you." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "You are making a grave mistake." Victor chuckled. "On the contrary, I believe I've just secured the future of my company. Your technology will make me the most powerful man on Earth." Lyra's expression remained stoic. "You underestimate the consequences of your actions." Victor's smile faded. "We'll see about that. Take her to the lab." As Lyra was led away, she silently vowed to escape and continue her mission. She knew Elena would not give up on her, and she would not give up on Earth. Elena's journey to find help was fraught with challenges. She traveled through treacherous terrain, avoiding Novagen's patrols and relying on her survival skills. Finally, she reached the headquarters of the environmental group, Green Horizon. The group's leader, a fierce woman named Amara, listened to Elena's story with growing concern. "If what you're saying is true, we need to act fast. But we'll need a plan." Elena nodded. "I know where they're holding her. We can't go in guns blazing, we need to be smart about this." Amara assembled a small team of her most trusted members, and together, they devised a plan to infiltrate Novagen's facility. They would use stealth and diversion to get in and out without alerting the guards. The night of the rescue, Elena's heart was pounding as they approached the facility. The team moved silently, disabling security cameras and taking out guards with precision. Elena led the way, her determination driving her forward. They reached the lab where Lyra was being held. Elena's breath caught in her throat as she saw her friend, restrained and surrounded by machines. Lyra's eyes lit up when she saw Elena. "You came," Lyra said, her voice filled with relief. "Of course I did," Elena replied, quickly working to free her. "We need to get out of here." As they made their way out of the facility, alarms began to blare. Novagen's security had been alerted. The team moved quickly, fighting off guards and making their way to the exit. Just as they reached the perimeter, Victor Kane appeared, blocking their path. "You're not going anywhere," he snarled. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes glowing with a fierce light. "You will not stop us." Victor hesitated, fear flickering in his eyes. But before he could react, Lyra unleashed a burst of energy, knocking him and his guards to the ground. The team made their escape, disappearing into the night. They returned to Green Horizon's headquarters, where Lyra was finally safe. Elena hugged her tightly. "I was so worried." Lyra smiled. "Thank you, Elena. You saved me." Amara approached, her expression serious. "This isn't over. Novagen will come after us. We need to be ready." Lyra nodded. "We will be. Together, we can face whatever comes our way." With Novagen's plans thwarted, Elena and Lyra continued their mission to heal the planet. They worked closely with Green Horizon, spreading their message of hope and sustainability. People began to take notice, and a global movement started to grow. Victor Kane, humiliated and desperate, tried to rally his allies, but his influence was waning. The world was changing, and there was no place for those who sought to exploit it. One evening, as the sun set over a newly restored forest, Elena and Lyra stood together, watching the trees sway in the breeze. "We've come so far," Elena said, her voice filled with pride. Lyra nodded. "And there is still much to do. But I believe we can achieve it." Elena turned to her, a smile on her lips. I couldn't have done this without you. Lyra's eyes softened. And I could not have done it without you. You have shown me the strength and resilience of humanity. Elena reached out and took Lyra's hand. What happens now? Lyra gazed at the horizon, where the first stars were beginning to appear. Now, we continue our journey. Together. As they stood there, hand in hand, Elena felt a sense of peace and purpose. The road ahead would not be easy, but she knew they could face it together. The world was changing, and with it, the future was bright.